4 pieces skirt with bands. Good day everyone, you are welcome to Joydala Fashion Guide. I am G Joy. In today's video we are going to be making a 4 pieces skirt. I'm going to be using 2 yards of fabric, but do well to get more than 2 yards. Okay, if you want the skirt to be very full, then you need 2.5 to 3 yards of fabric. Now, to know the amount of fabric to put on fold is that if, for example, you are using a 2.5 yards of fabric, you calculate the total inches that you have. If it is a fabric that comes with a 36 inches per yard, 2.5 will give you 90 inches. Since 36 plus 36 will be 72 plus half, which is 18, to give you 90 inches. And then you can now divide 19 inches by 4, since it's going to be a 4 pieces skirt, because 2 pieces will be in front and 2 pieces will be at the back. So when you divide 90 by 4, you are going to have around 22 inches. So that is how wide each panel will be at the base, at the hem. So the next thing is to now think of how you are going to distribute the 22 inches. You know, the 4 piece skirt comes like this, and then it goes flare at the bottom. But the flare part, one side is usually more flare than the other, except you want both the middle and the side to have the same flare. Then you simply work with the middle of your that is the 22. You share it into half and allocate your measurement on both sides. We'll be saying how to drop that soon. And then if you are using a 3 yards of fabric, you simply multiply 36 by 3, and that will give you 108. And when you divide that by 4, you're going to have around 27 inches or 27.5 thereabout. So assuming you have 27 inches, then you can now allocate your measurement. You can put 7 on one side and 20 on the other side. So it depends on how you want your skirt, and it depends on how much fabric that you have. So for this tutorial, I have 2 yards of fabric, so I will not be able to make the base up to 20 inches. So what I will do is to simply divide the 2 yards by 4. So mine is not up to 36 exactly. Some part is 36, while the other part is 35. So I'll just simply share that into 2. You can also watch my video on how to draft different types of skirt. In that video, I have a detailed explanation on how to draft the straight skirt or pencil skirt, how to draft the A-line skirt, how to draft the flare skirt, and of course how to draft a 4 pieces skirt. Do well to check out my video at Joydala Fashion Guide. So without wasting much time, let's dive right into the video. So we are going to be using the first method here. I'll be using this for the front pattern. Let me just write F here. These are my measurements. My waist to hip is 9 inches. Waist to knee is 18 inches. My skirt length is 41. I'll be adding extra 1 inch to that for folding allowance at the down, and also to join to the band at the top, which will make it 42. And then I'm going to have a 1.5 inch band. So to be on the safe side, I'll cut on 41. My waist circumference is 36 inches, and divided by 4, that gives me 9 inches. And if you further divide that, you're going to have 4.5 inches. We will be needing that for the second method. And then my hip measurement is 46, which is 11.5 when you divide it into 4. And then when you divide it into 8, you're going to have 5.75. So we'll also be making use of that for the second method. And then for my knee circumference, I'll be subtracting 1.5 inch from the hip measurement. So for my hip, that is, I'm going to be using 11.5. For the knee, I'm going to be using 10 inches. So for the first method is the one that you allocate. So let's see what we have. So first of all, I have 17¾ here. So we are going to determine how much you are going to leave to this side and then what you are going to give to this side. Now because my fabric is not so much, 17, let's say 17½, by the time I remove my hip circumference with the sewing allowance, that will leave me at 12½. And then if I check what I have left, I have 1 2 3 4 5, and that will be 5 inches left. So I can simply divide the 5 inches by 2 and give here 2½, and also the other side will also be 2½, and then I walk in between. Okay, so the amount to leave here depends on how much fabric that you have. For yours, you can leave at least 6 inches on this side, between 5 and 7 inches if you want the flare to come out. So you can leave like between 5 inches, 6 inches, or 7 inches. And what you do is that when you mark that on one side all the way down, and then when you're now placing your measurement, you place it from that line to this other side. That is how you are going to place your measurement. So but because we are working with a small fabric, instead of using the 6 inches or the 5 inches, I'm going to be using half of that. Because I want this side to flare more than this side, I'm going to be using 2 inches. Okay, so let me use 2½. So this 2½, I will mark it all the way down. And then I use my long ruler to roll that out. So having done that, the next thing now is to input to mark out the horizontal measurements. Now I want this skirt I want it to have a band, and so first of all I'm going to check the length that we have. We have 45½. And the length I'll be working with for the front is 42. So I'm just going to go ahead and mark 42. Sorry, 41. I'm going to be working with 41. Then by the time I add the band, it will be, I'm going to add a 1½ each band, and that will make it 42½. So my skirt length is 41, and then I need a 1 inch seam allowance, which is 42, and then if I subtract 42, if I subtract 1.5, which is for the band from 42, I'm going to have 40½. So I'll just go ahead and mark 41. So I'll place my tape like this. So I mark 41. So I'm going to be cutting here out. I don't need this part. And then I'm going to place ½ inch that I'll be using to join the band. So I'll just mark it. So I'll take this off. this is the seam allowance to join to the band. Here is the seam allowance to join to the band. So my measurement will start from here. So my waist to hip is 9 inches minus 1.5 inch band. So here is my hip. Go ahead and mark the waist to the knee. So just use a straight ruler to connect that. So I have my lines drawn out. This is our waist line. This is the waist. Then this is the hip line. This is our knee line. And then of course the hem of the skirt. So I'm going to impute my measurement. So my measurement will be starting from here. My measurement will start from here. From this line this way, and this is folded into 2, which is for the front part. So I'll divide my waist by 4. So my waist circumference divided by 4. I'm going to impute it here. And then for the waist, I'll add 1.5 inch seam allowance. The knee circumference is 11.5. And then I add, you can see it's the same allowance, 1.5. The knee, we say we are using 10 inches. Then I will just add just 1 inch. So the next thing is to connect our markings. Connect the waist to the hip. The hip to the knee. So I'll make sure that there is no sharp edge here. Then I'm going to connect here from the knee to the hem. And then on this side I'll add 1/2 inch seam allowance, and then from here you just connect it to the hem. This seam allowance is to join the center of the front. This is center front. And then just blend it into it. So I trim the front pattern. The next thing is to cut it out. This part, you just go up by 1.5. Just curl it towards the end. This to avoid any sharp edge at the ends, at the side. So I'll cut out the pattern. So this is our front pattern. We'll be cutting out the back. So we'll be using the second method to cut out the back pattern. So for the back pattern, instead of folding into two, the way we did for this front piece, we'll be folding into four. That is, we fold into two and then fold into two again. So once we do that, it means that we are going to be dividing our measurement by 8. So I'm going to cut off this part. So here will be our starting line. This is the half inch to join to the band. So I already have my hip measurement drawn out. So here is the hip, here is the knee, and then here is the length of the skirt. Okay, and then I want the back to be a bit longer than the front, so I'm going to be using this part to create that effect. So the next thing is to impute our measurements. So the waist, instead of 9 inches, I said we'll divide that into 2 again, because this was into 2 before and then we folded again. So we are going to be dividing that 9 again, and we'll have 4.5. So place our 4.5 here. And then I'm going to add 1.5 inch seam allowance. Then I come to the hip. After our calculation, I have 5.75, which is here. And then 1.5. So I can go ahead and make this 6 inches, so I have a little allowance for the butts. And then mark my 1.5. And then at the knee, instead of using the 10, we are now going to now use 5. Okay, so it's actually 4.9. So you can go ahead and mark the 4.9, and then 1 inch. So for this method, from here, we just take it straight to the hem. So we connect the waist to the hip. So you can use this method if you are working with 2 inches. You can also use it if you are working with normal, just that when you are folding down, you will not fold it equally. You will fold it such that one side will be longer out than the other part. Okay, that means you will fold something like this. Okay, that is how you will fold it, so that one side will be longer than the other side. But I'm folding it equally now because I'm using 2 yards. So once you cut your pattern like this, you can now go ahead and use this to cut the front pattern. That means you cut all the same. So I'll connect the hip to the knee, making sure no sharp edge, and then I'll connect from here to the hem. Blend it out, making sure. So that is just all. Then I cut it out. So this is what we have. So the next thing, I just decide where you're going to use as the center and where you're going to use as the front, and then reshape the one, and then shape it straight. So here is the front panel. So if you place it on it, you see it. So this is the front panel placed on it. You see, they are all the same. So I will only reshape this side because of zipper allowance for the back. So I'll mark where the zipper will get to. So for the zipper allowance, I can just connect this like this. And then I blend this into this. Like so. Then we cut. So I'm going to notch this place so that we know that that is the zipper area. So I'll notch here. So that is just all for how to cut. So this is the front piece, and this is the back. Okay, so now come like this. Okay, so one last thing is to make the two sides to be equal. So this is the side of the back. You just make sure that it's equal with the side of the front. So you can notch this new area. So when you are sewing, the join, you sew it with. So that is the length. So the side, both sides must correspond. So here is the side. So from here, you just curve it to this side. You can use your free hand to do that, or you can use your French curve. So that is all for this pattern. The next is to cut the lining. So when cutting the lining, I'll bring the lining to stop around the knee area. So I'll just quickly cut that now and show you. So this is the lining for the back, and then this is the lining for the front. And one more thing I forgot to mention, when you are cutting your pattern, if you want that, when you are taking your waist measurement, ensure to add a dart. This is the sewing allowance for the side. For the zipper, then I have 9 inches here for my waist. So you can go ahead and add a dart. So if you want to add a dart, let me just show you. This is the zipper allowance for the back. Then from there, we mark the 9 inches. So in between the 9 inches, I have 4.5. So you can also use your bust span measurement divided by 2. So here then you now mark 1/2 inch. Okay, and the length of the dart will be 5 inches. So this is the length of the dart. So that is how to add that. And this dart, you don't need to cut it out, you just fold it when you are sewing. So by the time you sew, this nail will become thin. So I still have my side allowance here. Okay, so when you want to sew, you fold it like this. You fold it like this and sew. So that's how to add a back dart. So you do same for the front. If you want a dart, but mind you, take your dart before you cut the side of your pattern so that you can add the necessary allowance. So I can still add that to the front. I still have some allowance. But do where to take your dart before cutting your allowance. So you just do the same. Here is the same allowance. From there, you mark the waist. Then you mark half of it. Mark the 1/2 inch on both sides. And then you mark the length of the dart. So you connect. So the same thing, you don't need to cut it out, you simply fold it like this. When it is time for you to take the dart and just sew. So that's how you sew the dart. So you are going to be joining the skirt now. So first of all, I have to sew the dart. So I've decided to add a 1/2 inch dart. So I'm gonna have to press it down. So I'm going to add 1/2 inch dart to the lining and then to the fabric. So I'll just sew it and show you what it looks like. So I've sewed the dart. Now I'm sewing on the lining. So the next thing now is to join the center front. We'll join the center front and then we'll use the line to the side. I'll show you. So here's what you have after joining the front piece. So we're going to use the lining to turn it on the side. So put it right side facing each other like this. Okay, and then we sew the side. To side. I'll show you So here is our front panel after adding the lining. So the next thing, we are going to iron the middle, iron the seam open, and iron the side. So when you turn it inside out, this is what it looks like. And then this is the front. So we'll be ironing it. So you see the down part. So I'm going to be creating a kind of a pleat design from the hip to the knee across with the pieces that is left over. Okay, so we'll leave this now, set that aside first, and then work on the back piece. So first of all, we're going to start by sewing the 1/2 inch dart on the fabric and then on the lining. After that, I'll show you how to use the lining to sewing the 1/2 inch dart. So you pick the fabric like this, place the lining over it, right side facing each other. And use your pins to hold it in place. And also hold this side. So you repeat the same for the other panel, and then you're going to stitch with the same allowance I have given. You stitch here, you stitch both sides. So this is what it looks like after sewing. So you're going to iron it. Let me bring it out for you to see what it looks like. So take it and iron the sides. And also do same for the other panel, and then we are going to cut the bands. Remember, we have a 1.5 inch band. We'll cut a band for each panel and add iron interfacing on the band. We'll also do same for the front piece. We'll also iron interfacing on the band. So when we are done ironing, we'll show you what it looks like after ironing. We are going to be pleating this across the front. This is the band for the front. We have iron interfacing on it. The next thing, we are going to sew the bands. To sew the bands, we place it like this. Okay. Use your pins to secure it. We sew the inside first. We sew the inside first like this. After which we turn it in and put this on top and stitch this on top. We are going to repeat the same for the back panel. This is the 2 back piece. We will not join the center yet. You are going to attach the band first. This is the band. So the same thing to attach it. We pick it like this. We place it on it like this. From the back, the lining side. Let me be pinning to show you like this. Okay, after sewing it down, you now flip it to the front side like this and now stitch it. Of course, you are going to close here. We'll close the side here before we sew here, and then we now flip it to the front side and now stitch this over it. So when we are through, let me see what it looks like. So this is what I mean. Place the band, you sew from the back, and that is on the lining. You place the band at the back of the lining, and then you sew. When you are through, you're now going to now turn it to the front like this, and now sew it down. So when you sew it down, it's going to look like this. So this is for the back, you see it. So after you have done that for the back, the next thing is to join the center back. We are going to join the center back, leaving space for zipper. This is the zip we are going to fix. So we are going to mark where the zip will get to. We'll mark it, and then from there, from here down to the hem, we'll sew it and iron it. We'll be back to show you what it looks like. So we have sewn the front band. This is what it looks like. Very neat. And then we have joined the center back. We have left this space for the zipper. We have ironed it as such. So we are going to fix our zip now. I'm going to be using this zip. So this is how we are going to install the zip. So we place this inside like this, or we can just go ahead and stitch down first. Okay, and pin it in place. So we are going to first of all open the zip like this. You stitch. After stitching to somewhere here, you close the zipper back, and then you stitch to the end. Then when you are through, you turn it like this. Okay, you also pin it to make sure it goes through here. Pin it down like this first. Okay, you pin it down. Okay. after which you close it like this, and then you sew here to this point. After sewing, you open the zip like this, then you fold these parts, fold it in like this, then you stitch it down. You do same for the other sides. You fold it in like this and you stitch it down. So when we are through with the zip, we'll now join the front piece to the back piece. We'll finish the zip and then show you what it looks like before joining the front and the back piece together. So we are finished sewing our zipper. This is our zip. So the next thing now is to attach the front piece and the back piece together like this, right side facing each other. So we'll sew with the same allowance that we have left. So we'll join the side together using our same allowance. We join the side together like this. So do well to pin it down so that the fabric can be together. And then we are going to sew. So I finished joining the sides. So what is left now is the hem of the skirt. We'll be turning it with a crinoline. So to turn the skirt, we start from the right side. We are going to sew like this. Place it like this, and then we sew along here. We are going to sew with 1/2 inch, so we put the crinoline on it like this and sew. So we are going to, you can use your pin to hold it down. Like this. So when we sew to the ends, when we sew to this end, we now turn it inside. So we are going to turn it in like this, and then sew inside to hold the crinoline in place. So our 4-piece skirt is complete. We have finished turning the hem with a crinoline. I use a matching crinoline. So this is our skirt. Our 4-piece skirt. So you iron it now. I'll iron it now and place it on the mannequin for you to see. So here is the final look of our skirt. Our 4-piece skirt is ready. So here is the final look. So we have come to the end of this beautiful tutorials. I hope you find these tutorials helpful. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up, and of course, like I always say, if you have not yet subscribed to this channel, please, it's time for you to subscribe so that you won't miss our next video. Until next time when I come your way, I remain G Joy.